Welcome to another edition of the TSS podcast, brought to you in association with Luke 1977 and Bowden and Dolphin, with your hosts Rob Carless from Bob's Books and the legend that is Shaun Teale. He's here, there, and everywhere, and he's Tealey saying something.
Happy New Year and welcome to a new edition of the TSS podcast, also known as the Teale Saying Something podcast. We managed to survive 2024 and now we're doing it all again in 2025. So without further ado, Happy New Year, Shaun Teale.
Happy New Year, Rob Carless.
How are we?
Glad that Christmas and New Year's out the way.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, I hate it.
That's what I love about you. You're so positive. That's why I love working with you. Yeah, you say this is why I'm not going to come down your chimney anymore, to be honest with you. Before you start.
You'll probably get a big foot up your arse sending you back the other way.
I'll tell you what was funny. I listened back to our last show, the one that we did before Christmas, and you really do have a go at me on this one. It's definitely the tables turned. It did make me laugh driving back from Newbury or driving up to Birmingham, whichever one it was. It was funny. So I'm going to get you back this year. Don't forget. Okay.
That's all right.
Yeah, exactly. Right, and it's also Happy New Year to our main man in the studio, the man that put it all together for us, Chris Browne. Happy New Year to you.
The guy that makes you sound good.
That would be a miracle.
Yeah, okay.
If you did that.
It's going to work on Shaun now.
Exactly.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you both.
Did you have
Happy
a good
New
one?
It was fantastic. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Right, we'll start with the positive one then, before we go back to the Grinch. Mm-hmm. Okay. What nice presents did you get football-wise?
Me?
Yeah.
Football-wise, of course, I had the commentary in the frame, which I showed you earlier, of the
You did?
2011 League Cup. I've had various books and shirts and so forth. You know, yeah, good.
Good. And I see you've got one of those on this day things.
Oh, it's Birmingham City on this day.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't ask me to ask. Oh, I could actually. Do you want me to get you?
Yeah, go to the Altrincham game and then the Kidderminster game.
Strangely, it's omitted those. Oh, well.
I'll tell you what, I wish I had the copyright on those books, because they do them for all clubs, don't they? The On This Day series. I'd love to be the person that put those together.
Great idea, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And Shaun, I know it's not working for you properly tonight, and you're obviously start to sound as good as we do in the studio soon. Yeah. But you've got your new bins and your microphone and all that kind. You're really taking this serious now, aren't you?
They look good.
It does look good.
They do look good.
Oh, Nathan bought me the microphone, actually.
I know, because he told me before Christmas he was doing it.
That's great, and it just spoiled it. The bins, the bins is a funny story. We had to pull off the motorway to recharge the car. Now I've got an electric car, and
it's full 21st century now. That man.
On the way home from Villa, we were running out of battery, so we had to pull off, and we just happened to go, funny enough, in a Morrison's, and he was selling off all these bins, and I thought, oh, you know what? For what I'm going to use them for, I may as well just grab a pair. So that's where they came from.
Very nice.
Very good. Very good.
You look, as I said to you before we started the show, smashy and nicer. You look like both of them. Or you look like you smashed the nice out of them. I don't know which one to go for, to be honest with you. I had a podcast diary for Christmas.
Oh, right. Okay.
Ever so good. To put some ideas into it and things like that. And I've left it in the car, so I can't even show you.
You need all the help you can get.
Absolutely. Talking about speakers as we are, I don't know if you've seen them, but Claire bought me some of those Bravia Theatre U, they're called, and it's the neck speakers. So you don't have them on your ears. You have them on the neck speakers. Oh, my God. I've watched films I don't like just so I can listen to it. It gives you 360 surround sound.
But, it's not something you can go out on the bus in, really, is it? No, I mean,
yeah, they wouldn't be on your shoulder.
You look a right dick.
You would, and I don't think that'd last too long, to be honest with you, if you did it that way. But honestly, really, really good. I just got to get sorted for the TV now.
You might find a picture of Mount Copenhagen with Claire.
Honestly, it is fantastic. It really is. If you get a chance to see them, it's the Sony Bravia ones, but really, really nice. Yeah.
Okay, so if we can have a picture with you with them,
yeah,
so we can make it go viral, the picture.
Absolutely.
And, really rip.
Yeah,
rip it
absolutely.
out. Yeah, okay, good stuff.
Absolutely. So we're into a new year, 2025. I thought we'd kick off the football theme this week. We're talking about all the knighthoods and the OBEs and the MBEs that are given at this time of the year. Now, Sir Gareth Southgate, he's one of them. It's been since that was announced just before New Year. I've been looking at what people have been putting on social media about it. We're rewarding failure and all this kind of stuff. Right, so I know it's going to split opinions on it.
Hang on, for all those people that are listening and can't see, Shaun is nodding.
Oh, yeah, he's not going to be a fan of this. I can tell that right away.
Are we not going out on YouTube on this one this time?
No. I might pick and choose.
So put the chair down that you was just about to smash there, Shaun. There's no need for you to do it tonight. Okay, we're not going to be in that live environment. All right, then, Teale, come on then. We spoke about Southgate before. None of us knew that he was going to get a knighthood. There's a friend of mine on Facebook who Chris Browne knows from the Tilton Talk Show, who put a really good salient reason as to why that he should have that, which I'll go through in a minute and mention it. But Teale, come on then. You're obviously in the I don't want him to be knighted camp. Give us the reasons.
Well, first and foremost, like everybody else has said, he won nothing. At the end of the day, yes, he changed the view of the England team to the British public to a point. But when you keep making the same errors time after time, when you get so far through competitions, well, that's just failure. That's not success. And then on the back of that, you get the things like the Kevin Sinfield thing. Who's walked. Well, I don't know how many miles he's walked, but he's a proper local lad, a proper hero, and he just gets completely ignored, which I just find crazy. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, you're talking about his friendship with Rob Burrow.
Yeah.
Okay. So is he a local lad to you then? Is he a Southport lad?
He's Leeds and he's northern. As far as you lot are concerned down there.
Yeah,
he will be having barbecues tonight, like you will. He's one of those kind of northerners.
Yeah,
I mean, that is a fantastic point about Kevin Sinfield. It really is, and a lot of people have put pictures of him carrying Rob Burrow over the line, and it's beautiful to look at, isn't it? It's proper friendship. Yeah. But this is something that I picked up about Gareth Southgate, and I can start to see it, and it's Mark Meredith from Tilton Talk who come out with this one, and I went back to him and said, this is a really good post, mate. I think he put it on Tilton Talk first and foremost, and I said, can I use it? And I have done on various social media outlets, but this is what he's put, and I think it's a relevant point. So Marcus said, we have to understand that Southgate isn't getting knighted for just being manager of the England national team. It's gone off now, so I'm just going to have to go back onto my phone a minute.
I was just anything else.
Okay. So he hasn't just been knighted for being the manager of the senior national team. Since 2009, he's done an outstanding job revamping the FA from youth to senior level with new technical programmes, etc. And what he's done, he's left the Football Association of England in a much better shape for the future at all levels. We have to remember it's a title given to someone who has made a significant contribution to the field that he or she, or they, or whatever you want to call them these days, what they've done in that field of work. And I sat back and I thought, it's a good reason to give him a knighthood, right? I fully understand it's not just based on World Cup 2018, 2020 Euros and the 2024 ones. It's based on what he's done previous to that. And he did unite the nation. So, you know, I also hear, you know, because I've been like you, Tealey. You know, I've been an advocate of not praising him for what he's done in finals when we've had the chance to actually win them. And I don't think he's got that killer instinct in him, to take us any further. So I do get that part, but and this might sound controversial, and I love the bloke before I say it. Right? Why did they give Bobby Robson a knighthood? What was the rationale for giving? Yeah. I mean, he got it, I believe, straight after Italia 90, and he got a semi-final.
Yeah. Well, the difference with Bobby was the fact that Bobby had been all over the world coaching and won things. You know, I mean, Gareth went to Middlesbrough and took them down, didn't he? You know, and then disappeared from normal manager jobs and became part of the FA. You know, whereas Bobby went to Barcelona, won things, went to Newcastle, did really well, was at Ipswich, did really well, won things. So, you know, there's for me, between Sir Bobby Robson and Gareth Southgate, there's no comparison.
Agreed. But, and Chris, maybe you can find this out by Googling. I know we all know you love to do a bit of Googling, especially when I've got questions for you. Right, so I think he got that knighthood straight after Italia 90. Right? Now, so he wouldn't have done his Barcelona stint. He wouldn't have done his Newcastle stint and all that kind of thing. He'd have won stuff with Ipswich, but that had been a good, 10 years before. Yeah. So, was he knighted, you know, as that wave of optimism that we had in 1990, you know, and we were lovable losers, weren't we? Yeah. You know, we were a ragbag team. Nobody just do any good.
Talking about Birmingham City now? Or...
in a minute, you start mentioning 2011 to us, Teale. Absolutely. So you know, I get what you're saying about Bobby. Perhaps, Chris, you can have a look at that and let us know exactly when he did get it. But do you know what? I'm with everybody that says about the loser part. Here's a question for you, and I don't know the answer to it, but I'm just going to throw it out there. Has Tim from tennis got a knighthood?
Tim Henman?
Yeah.
I don't think so, no. He has got an honour, though. I'm sure he had an honour.
Why have I got that he's a... I don't know.
No, I don't.
I don't know.
I'm just guessing.
So it seems that we do favour that. But, you know, he has done a lot. There's no doubt about it that he I can't have people saying to me that he doesn't know what he's doing at football. I really can't. His record, but I do agree that he can't go that extra last mile. I do agree with that, and he's had such great players.
Why did he have to be knighted? Why couldn't he been given an MBE or likewise? You know, why did he have to be knighted? I think that's just a step too far for me.
And a lot of people are saying that, aren't they?
Yeah. You know, I mean, listen, he's not the only one. You know, if you bounce into politics, you've got Sadiq Khan knighted. Oh my word!
Yeah. Yes.
What about?
Yes, obviously that's a different subject to what we speak about, but I know a lot of people that live in London that don't send him Christmas cards or anything like that because they don't like what he's done.
Yeah. Why did you send myself get a Christmas card?
Yeah, no. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I did, and I signed it from all three of us. All right, absolutely. So, but yeah, it's a good point. Does David Beckham deserve a knighthood? You know, given what he's done for English football.
For football. Incidentally, that's what it says about Bobby Robson, that he was knighted purely for his services to football.
Right, okay. And what year was he knighted?
2002.
Right, then my argument is null and void.
Yeah, as normal, yeah.
So he happened to Barcelona by then.
Yeah, he'd done everything.
Shaun, can't we get somebody who knows his facts?
I'll take it back. I absolutely take it back. I thought they'd given it to Robson after 1990, but they never. They gave no. That is fully deserved, and that is, like you say, on a different level. God, I'm eating umber pie tonight, aren't I?
We ain't finished.
Can't get it cheap, Chris.
But I mean, you know, a good one about Kevin Sinfield. Total. Yeah, and looking at some of the people in sport that have been given, you know, these things. Is it time to revamp it and just make it for the general public that, you know, tirelessly work that we don't hear about? Is it time to just
Saying that, I still think there are a lot of people who are knighted or given honours that we go, who?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, very true. Very true. I think the Gareth Southgate one, like when he was our manager, will just split people's opinions.
Yeah, definitely.
But yes, Sir Bobby, I love you, and I'll take everything back. Okay, that's all you need to know. I'm not supposed to be eating pie after Christmas, but I'm certainly doing the humble one tonight.
Quite a few pies.
Well, you know, I had a busy 24th, didn't I?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You know, being around the world and I, and all that kind of stuff. Right, so the other thing that I found interesting over the Christmas period, and it's almost 12 months to the day that it happened at Birmingham City, was Wayne Rooney leaving Plymouth Argyle.
No shock, really.
No shock.
Right, so the question is, right, and we've alluded to this on previous podcasts that we've done, but the question that I want to ask is, what is wrong with these top footballers that can't make it as a manager? Is it down to personality? Because it's obviously not through to talent, because the talent's there. You're in a good position to talk about this, Tealey. I was listening to Sky Sports yesterday, and they come out with a good point, and I thought I'd raise it on tonight's show. So you've got these players that have played at the very top level, week in, week out, and they've done it on the international stage, and they've done it on the domestic stage and won all the major competitions that they can do, right? So then they get jobs in the lower leagues from the Championship. No disrespect to the leagues, but so you've got a winning tactical mentality as a player, right? And you know, what you've won, what you can show us medal-wise will dictates that. But these guys take jobs in the lower leagues where the level of the footballer isn't quite what they used to play with. So they tend to stick to a certain type of tactic. And because that has won them everything, you know, at that top of the mountain, right? But they can't do it in the lower leagues because they don't have the players that can do that.
Resources.
Right. I thought it was a good point and worth raising today. Tealey, what's your view?
The argument with that theory that you've come out with is Frank Lampard didn't do it in a lower league. He went more or less straight into management at Derby.
Okay.
Derby. Wayne Rooney, again, same, straight in at the Championship at Derby. Steven Gerrard went to the Scottish Premier League, straight in. And my question would be, do they actually learn their trade before they go in? They learn it as a footballer. They know how to play the game. They know the ins and outs of a cow's backside when it comes to tactics. But being a good player doesn't make you a good manager.
So on that then, Shaun, right? I mean, that's some good points that you've raised there, right? So on that, are these players that have dined on the top table as a player, are they stubborn, right? Do they retain the mentality that they've got right at that top of the game and try to impose it on the lower leagues? Because you know, Gerrard and Lampard and Rooney, yeah, they all win in a Championship, Derby being one of those there. But do they allow for changing tactics a bit more so, or do these guys really rely on their number twos?
Listen, I certainly think when you go into a managerial post straight from playing, as I did myself, a long, long time ago. You definitely need the right people around you. You need people who you're prepared to let have a say and listen to them. Now it's difficult because we don't know whether Frank, Stevie G or Wayne listen to anyone. We don't know that. We're not privy to that information. But the only thing that stands out is they've all got it desperately wrong when it comes to managing at a higher level. You only have to look at, we've had it firsthand with Stevie G, haven't we? Obviously, he did really well. He did well at Rangers. He won some trophies at Rangers. And then he was shoehorned into the job at Villa when really he was not ready. And it was only because he was big friends with the CEO at the time at Villa that he got the job.
Christian Purslow.
Yeah. It was only because he'd worked with Christian at Liverpool that he got the job. He was never ready. I suppose in an unfortunate way, you don't get players coming out and saying things nowadays. So you don't get any of the Villa lads who played under Stevie G coming out and saying, well, we couldn't understand this, or he wanted us to do this, and it's not how we play, and blah blah blah. On the flip of that, you bring a Unai Emery into your club, who's done it multiple times with multiple teams with different players, and he can take the same players and make them into a great team.
Yeah, we'll talk about Rooney now a bit more specifically, but this is something that has also been on social media over the last couple of days. So apart from, the vilification of him, I think this is quite a nice touch. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but Rooney agreeing mutually to leave, thus forgoing payments he will be due as compensation is huge for him for Plymouth. He was never here for the money. He was there for the love of the game. It didn't work out well, but we'll have funds to spend in the window because of his class. In other words, he didn't take him for all the money that he could do. That is a good thing to hear.
Yeah.
You could argue that he doesn't need the money.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, and if you go back with Wayne Rooney to the situation at Derby, he was dropped into a horrendous situation financially wise at Derby, and he certainly didn't take that job for the money. He took that job for the love of the game, and I firmly believe every job he's took has been because he wants to be a manager and he wants to succeed. But there's a cut-off point where succession works if you haven't got the right people around you.
Yeah, and do these lower league clubs really put these managers in charge for their name more than anything else? Chris, you had Rooney. Mm-hmm. Your American owners had obviously it turned out to be a mistake, but what is happening at Plymouth now happened to you guys 12 months ago, didn't it? Almost to the day, I think.
Yeah, certainly did.
That he went there. Do you feel that he was brought in just as a name so he could just attract that little bit more?
Of course, yeah. That was 100%. It was a commercial venture.
Yeah.
Nothing else. Great footballing pedigree, but managerial pedigree, yeah. It was, what was his win rate? Something like 23%. Wasn't much, was it? No, it was awful, and still is.
And to be fair to Wayne, his win rate at all the clubs he's been at has been very poor. Even over in America, it's poor.
Mm. Yeah.
Just what you were talking about. I'm just trying to think who is the most successful manager with the least footballing pedigree. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Football, what playing wise, they've all played, but have they all played at the highest level?
Not really.
No,
Pep has.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
But your likes of Jurgen Klopp never, did they?
Yeah.
They were average players. We spoke about this before Christmas on the subject, but it'd be interesting to see whether Rooney takes another job.
I think he'll go back to America. Myself.
No, I do.
I do. Yeah.
To be fair, Rob, as well, you can slide alongside that the youngest manager at Brighton at the moment. Now he cut his teeth at St. Pauli in the German second division, got them promoted to the first division, got them promoted to the Bundesliga.
You're cutting and pasting that, by the way, from Google, because that sounds really good.
Yeah.
I'm impressed there with Shaun Teale.
Sounds like he knows what he's talking about.
So, and he's 30, is he 37 now? He's only 37.
So when we played them the other night, I was thinking, he looks like we're old enough to be his dad.
Well, we are.
Oh, we are. Yeah, we are.
Well, you two are, yeah.
But he cut his teeth in basically what's an unknown league in the German second division. Nobody knew of him until he came to Brighton in the summer. But obviously, Brighton do the due diligence, and they've tracked his progress all the way through, and then gone, right, he's the man for us. We'll take him when he's young. He knows what he's doing. He's got a system, a way of playing, and he's going to stick to it. And they came to Villa Park the other night, and they were good. To be fair, they were a decent team, and they'll prove a lot of people.
Well, I thought a draw was a fair result at the end of the day.
I would say.
Yeah, I thought it was. I also watched your game against Stockport.
Moving on.
Yesterday.
That was awful.
Was it yesterday?
Yeah, it was yesterday.
It was yesterday, the 1st of January.
Yeah,
we're recording this, guys, on the 2nd of January. It goes out on the 5th, but that's the 6th. But there you go. I'll tell you what, I watched it because I wanted Louis Barry to score about 10 goals, just to finish off. But he didn't play in that game. I thought it was I thought second half was really good.
We talked about it early in the season, didn't we? I fancied Stockport.
Yeah.
They're a good team.
Where I live now, they're all going mad about Reading. I mean, Reading are doing superb.
Oh, right.
Fifth in the league.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh, right. That's
good.
Good.
And I'm actually going to the game when you play them at Reading.
Going back to Stockport, Rob, Dave Challoner was a teammate of mine at Tranmere.
Is he the manager?
Yeah, and we talk about cutting your teeth. He went straight into non-league, so he did AFC Files when they were a non-league team. Cut his teeth there, and then got the Stockport job. So I think there's a lot to be said for jumping at the deep end too quickly. Even though you've been a world class player, jumping in too quickly can be the death knell for you, really.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we've spoke about, what time is it now? We've been doing this for 30 minutes, guys. Can you believe it?
Another quick mention for Wickham. They're doing brilliant.
Oh, they're doing ever so well. Yeah, they're doing ever so well. Are you second in the league at the moment?
Second on goal difference. Yeah.
Okay, let's hope that drops. Right, just changing the subject again. Right, so, go on. Sorry, Shaun, you were about to say.
Birmingham have got a game in hand.
You've got two games in hand, haven't you?
I think we've only got one game in hand over Wickham.
Right.
Yeah.
Two over Wrexham, maybe.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Right. So we didn't have our last show before Christmas, if you remember. No. The Tealeys had people round. Right.
Wasn't it?
They were obviously Carol's friends and not Shaun's friends, I would imagine. They come round to see Carol and Nathan.
I don't have.
Go on.
I don't have any friends.
That's true. Yeah,
you've got two here, mate.
There.
Well, that's it.
You just call out our name and wherever we are, we'll come running. All right.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, it's good to see you again. Right, so one thing that we were going to pick up on, and I'd still like to, even though Christmas has just gone, we spoke about some things that have happened in the new year there. So there's obviously game after game and, there's football on 24/7 during the Christmas period and, people complain there's too many games and all that kind of thing. One of the things that we were going to do, if we'd have had that last podcast before Christmas, or the week before Christmas, was talk about what it's like for the family, as a footballer. Obviously, what time did you have to spend away from Carol and the kids, when you were, playing for Bournemouth and Villa and Tranmere and all these teams? What was it like? We know, myself and Browne know what it's like from we're fans and we go to the games on Boxing Day and all that. What's it like for you guys as footballers?
A lot of it would have depended where you were playing on Boxing Day. So if you were at home on Boxing Day, in the early years at Bournemouth especially, if you were at home on the Boxing Day, you'd probably get to spend Christmas Day at home and sleep at home Christmas night. Once I joined Villa, that changed, and normally, whether we were at home or away, by 4:00 in the afternoon on Christmas Day, we'd be either on the coach going wherever we were going or in a hotel. somewhere in and around Birmingham. Usually Ashby de la Zouch would go out to Ashby de la Zouch and stay in Spring Hydro there. And that became a theme for all, even home games, not just at Christmas, right through to the end of that season. Every Friday we stayed away from home, which of course never went down well with the lads because, we always used to have the arguments, well, you sleep better in your own bed, blah, 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 blah. But, it's the way of the world nowadays. Christmas for a footballer is sporadic, let's put it that way. Even to the point of shopping before Christmas, you get very little time to be out and about doing anything because you're too busy focusing on the games coming up. And as you said, it comes so thick and fast. Yeah, you're in more than you're out kind of thing.
So when you joined Villa then, you found that you were effectively not with the family on Christmas Day then. Have I got that right?
You'd wake up. You'd wake up Christmas morning at home. Obviously, the kids would open the presents, blah, blah, blah. And then maybe you'd be in and do a light training session for 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. And then literally that would be the end of your Christmas because then you'd be whisked off to either the away game, wherever you were, or into a hotel. And then it'd be sort of get your head down, lights out, get some rest. Obviously, in my day, it was probably done to stop half the lads having a few jars on the Christmas night before the game on a Boxing Day. I think they're a bit. I think they're. How can I put it? I think they're a bit more professional about the way they go about the game nowadays than some of the lads that I played with were.
The average fan will say, yeah, but you've got a lot more money than we did, blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Did you find that, being away from the family on Christmas Day and having to do that for several seasons, especially at Villa, as you've just said there, did that have an effect on you at all? Did it, or was your mind dead set on that 90 minutes that you were going to be playing the day after?
Just once the presents were open, that was the end of Christmas. It was just focus on the game that's coming up, whether you're home or away. Because at the end of the day, whatever anybody says and whatever anybody's earning, it's your job, and certainly back in the 90s, in my day, the one thing you didn't want to do was lose your place in the team because if you lost your place, you might never get it back.
Yeah.
That's why we went through the whole rigmarole of not feigning injuries and not telling physio when we were injured. You'd just carry on. You'd strap yourself up. You'd go in the dressing room, strap yourself up, and get out on the training pitch because you didn't want the manager to know you were carrying an injury because you didn't want to lose your place. Obviously now it's far different because you've got this 25-man squad for every game. The manager, whether you like it or not, is going to change it. He's going to leave you out from time to time. For the majority of players anyway. There's always, in every club, there's that core of players that basically manager gets his team sheet and writes down the same 5 or 6 names straight away and then puts the bits around them. And that's no different at Villa at the moment. If you look, he's not going to leave Emi Martinez out unless it's a game that he feels he just doesn't need to play in. But he's going to play in all the league games. He's not going to miss him in a league game unless A, is suspended or, is injured.
Going back to your time, which obviously is, as Chris and I will testify to, an amazing time in football, the 80s and 90s and the 70s and whatever. Yeah, you guys played, I don't know, let's say the 23rd of December, Saturday before. You played on Boxing Day. Yeah. You played on the 30th, and and then you always played on January the 1st, and we had a full fixture list, didn't we, in those days? As far as looking back, that must have put a lot on you guys in terms of your mentality, your physicality, and all. Was obviously with that being the busiest time? Did you do anything different in that period that you didn't do, for the rest of the 9 months?
No, not really. Training was training. We trained the same way day in, day out. Really, the only time training dropped off was usually on a Friday. We'd do a little bit first thing when we got there, free kicks, corners, this type of thing, and then we'd have a five-a-side, and that was you get home, get some rest, ready for the game tomorrow. But it didn't change around Christmas. I think we'd normally play, like you say, 23rd and then 26th, Boxing Day, and then I think we'd play between either the 28th and 29th, and then the 1st.
That's it.
So you had those 4 games in just over a week. And I suppose 90% of players will be thinking when they kicked off on the 23rd, I just hope I can get through 4 games without picking an injury up, or with blowing out completely where I'm that knackered I can't play anymore. But fitness, as in general fitness, was never spoke about. You get nowadays, obviously, because I suppose the game is speeded up a bit, but people are a lot fitter than they were when I played. Athletics wise, they're all athletes nowadays. Not so much when I played, and I think there's too many people make too much of an excuse about too much football. For me, I would rather play 4 games in a week than train 5 days a week.
Yeah, I get that. Training
was boring. Training was monotonous. And the longer you went in your career, once you'd gone past that 10-year mark of doing the same thing basically every day, training was horrible. You couldn't wait to get in and get out again. And then the games come round, but you'd always look forward to the games because that's where you made your name. That's where you put your imprint on the game. Your imprint on the was from the games, not the training. Most fans never saw the training, so they never knew what went on most of the time.
Yeah, so I mean, if I delve into the windmills of my mind, see, I've done it again. Another song thing there. Been listening to a lot of music today. Did you play? And this would have been for whatever club you play for, your Weymouth all the way through to your Motherwells and things like that. We didn't stretch them out, did we? You didn't have a Boxing Day and then play the 27th and then the 28th, and that would be the end of your Boxing Day matches. They were all played on the same day, weren't they? But effectively, you had a full fixture list on the same day. So you would have played, and we just mentioned those dates there: 23rd, 26th, 29th, 1st, right?
Yeah.
Did you play all through the Christmas periods? Were you selected for every single game at all your clubs during that time, or were you given time?
No, I played them all. I played them all. There was never a question, "Oh, you're tired? Do you need a rest?" But I just played them. The only time I didn't play at Christmas was if I ever managed to get myself suspended for Boxing Day. Which, in my very early days in non-league, could happen quite often.
That brutal world of non-league football.
I'm interested in going back to the Christmas period as to what families thought. I mean, did they take it as granted that this is what I've signed up for, basically? What is that? Is that how it is? Yeah.
Pretty much so. Yeah. I mean, I think Carol used to look at it to the point where, well, if you get an extra few hours at home on Christmas Day, it's a bonus.
Yeah.
She knew, basically. Yeah.
Or if you get to spend New Year's Eve at home and then play on New Year's Day, which sometimes did happen. I mean, funny enough, when I was at Villa, we used to drive over to a friend's house in Oldbury on New Year's Eve. They always used to have a party. Granted, I didn't drink, but I used to go over there, see the New Year, and then go home and get to bed. And I presume quite a lot of the lads probably did that as well, But we were sensible enough to know you couldn't go in the next day stinking like you'd had 10 pints because, you'd have been pulled straight away. And to be fair, it would have shown in your performance straight away anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Just before we move on to, we've just alluded to the non-league team, the non-league scene, I should say. And Chris, if you can bring up the 2003 FA Trophy for me. So we look at Burscough on that one. If you could bring that up and we can discuss that. That was one thing that we did say we'd do for the non-league teams. But we started this off with who should get a knighthood and who shouldn't get a knighthood. And you mentioned there that you're in a different bed. You haven't got your own stuff around you. One thing that has to be said at this about 12, 13 years ago was, and I know he got knighted for it. Sir Dave Brailsford, who ran the 2012 London Olympics. I think he'd done the one before. One of the key things that he did to make people feel better was he'd ask them to bring their own pillows or something like that when they were away training for a long time, and simple things like that. So I think that the likes of Brailsford, you can understand why they got the knighthoods, because they were winners, weren't they?
Yeah, talking of that, a lot of the lads used to take their own pillows to the hotels.
Really?
No.
I mean, I have 2 pillows at home now, and I cannot sleep on any other pillows bar those 2 pillows. Because I don't like pillows that have got feathers in them, because they itch me and scratch me to death during the night, and I end up agitated. And they have to be a certain thickness, because otherwise it affects my neck. So, I use the same 2 pillows. If we go away on holiday, they'll go with us.
Wow. So one of the nicknames that Shaun used to have down the villa is Man of Steel. He told us about his pillows. Oh, God. We might have to cut that part out. He's got a reputation to keep on. No, but I get it. I absolutely get it. Simple things like that, which are genius ideas, aren't they?
They are, yeah.
Right, so another thing that we were going to mention just before Christmas, so we'll do it now.
I wasn't listening, so I'm going to carry on.
You carry on.
What was it?
The 2002, 2003, not the other one, the way around. So we've got, before we do our next show, which is mid-January, we'll obviously have the FA Cup third round results, and we spoke about the magic of that, in the last episode that we did. But one of the key things that I loved working on when I worked on Tealey's book with him was the FA trophy that he won in the 2002-2003 season with Burscough, the team that he played for. I remember something in the Evening Mail about, ex-Villa player Tealey does this and being on TV, and that was all that was really made of it at the time. But it was,
Villa Park, didn't it?
It was at Villa Park, so it worked out really well for you. Tell us a little bit more about that season. Then the thing with Tealey is he's got a really good memory, a bit like the phone memory in his pillows that he's got. But
it's how good it is.
Yeah, exactly. So let's get him on this. Let's get him on this. So tell us a little bit more about the road to Villa Park that season. You've taken over Burscough. Not one of the favourites at all for the FA Trophy. Tell us a little bit more about that season, then, Shaun.
Okay, so it was a really strange season because I took over at the start of the season. League wise, we were going okay. We were mid-table, and then we were coming up to the first trophy game, and the chairman decided to drop a bomb on the club and say couldn't afford to pay the players' wages. And he came to me and said, "Listen, I need you to speak to the lads. We need them to take a pay cut." So me being me, walked into the dressing room without the chairman and said to the lads, "Listen, that idiot's going to ask you to take a pay cut. Tell him to get stuff," because they were all on contract. So legally, he couldn't just take the money off them. And then his threat was, well, if they don't take a pay cut, they'll all have to have a free transfer. Anyway, hence we had a fellow there, Rod, who was sort of the money man. He was the one who would come to me behind the chairman's back and say, "Listen, if you need another player, go and get him. I'll pay for him out of my pocket." Blah blah blah. And we'd been drawn at Marine in the FA Trophy, and I think if you got through the first round, you got $5,000 as a club, something like that. So we played Marine, and we ended up. I think we played them 3 times because it was replay after twice.
Oh no! Oh no! There was one. It says first replay there, doesn't it?
Yeah,
First replay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we actually scuffed our way through it. We drew the first game at our place and won at their place. And very fortunately, their keeper threw on him for us. God bless him. And then from there, it builds then, because every round you go through, there's more money. So within maybe 3 rounds of it, the money situation at the club had gone out the door. It didn't matter because we'd earned that money to keep the lads there anyway. But I think if I'm right, and you're going to quote me on it anyway, I think we ended up playing something like 13 games to win it.
12.
12, yes, 12.
Yeah, 12
so,
games.
Which,
not including,
when you think about it, it's a hell of a run. It's a lot of games to get through to a cup final when there should only be, what, 6, 7, maybe? You know, and we played some good sides. We went down to Yeovil in the quarter final, which is probably the biggest statement we made the whole season. Yeovil hadn't lost a game at home in the whole season. They hadn't lost to a league side at home in the whole season. And there was tiny little minnows, Burscough, going to Hooch Park in Yeovil with the expectation of probably getting stuck 4 or 5, because they'd beat Southport the weekend before at Yeovil 6-0. And Southport were in 2 leagues above us at the time, I think. So we went down there and ended up winning 2-0. It was quite bizarre. We literally, as a back four, put our tin hats on, dug a trench on the 18-yard box and defended. And that's all we did. And we had 2 breakaways and we scored twice. Same player scored twice, little Peter Wright. And you at that point, you're sort of thinking, hang on a minute, we've beat the best non-league team in the land, 2-0 at their place. What's to stop us going all the way now? There's nothing to stop us, really.
Is that when you started to believe you could do it?
Yeah, I think so. I think the lads, not so much me, because I'd been in that situation in 94, going through Arsenal away, Tottenham away, United at Wembley. So, you know, I'd been in that situation where you've got that belief that we can do it, whatever. Whoever we pull, we can do it. And then, of course, we pulled Aylesbury home and away in the semi-final. Aylesbury, again, 2 leagues above us. And we went to Aylesbury and drew 1 each. And we got to our place, all square, and it was 0-0 with roughly about 2 minutes left on the clock. And little Peter Wright, our centre forward, somehow managed to get a slight nudge in the back and went down like he'd been shot. And the referee pointed to the spot, and they're all looking at each other. And I took penalties at Villa, so and I was the manager. And how it panned out was I grabbed the ball and I said, "Well, I'm taking it. End of. It's not an argument." Nobody argued with me, to be fair. And I hit it that well. I think it hit the mud and skidded under the keeper. And we won the game 1-0. And the press were a bit weird after, because it was like, well, why did you take it? And the only explanation I could give was, I was the manager. If I missed it, it was on my shoulders. If a player misses it, he might have to live with that for the rest of his career. In a semi-final of an effort, he might never get anywhere near that again. So that's why I took it, and that's how I explained it to the press after. And then, of course, you know, you threw the semi-final and the euphoria around this. Burscough is a village of 8,000 inhabitants.
I was going to ask, where is it? Where is Burscough?
It's next door. It's in between Preston and Southport.
Right. Okay.
It's a village, basically, of 8,000 people, and it's actually recorded as the smallest team to ever win the FA Trophy. So, of course, then we're through to the final, and then all the press starts, and, you know, the press are coming in and filming us training and this, that, and the other. And we know by that time, obviously, we're playing Tamworth, who are local to Villa Park, and we know the finals at Villa Park. For me,
just for the listeners, the reason why it was at Villa Park was because Wembley was closed, wasn't it? You would have played at Wembley, wouldn't you? So like you played Liverpool in 2001. It was that type of thing.
Right.
Yeah, but obviously for me, it was the perfect scenario, because it was me going home, in a sense, back to where I'd made 190, 189 appearances for a top club. So going back there was heaven for me. And we set out we went on the Thursday, similar to what Ron did in '94 to the cup final. We went a day too early, really. But then we got to the hotel and the shout for the lads was, right, if you want to go out and get pissed, go out and get pissed. We're not bothered. We'll see you in the morning on the training pitch. And we'd sorted it all out with Doug. Doug had allowed us to use Bodymore Heath for 2 days of training. Even Ian Paul, who was the kit man there, took all our kit, washed all our kit both days, had it all hung up for us to come back to.
Good touch.
That's brilliant.
Which was fabulous. I took my assistant manager Ray in to see Doug and listen to Doug's stories, which was hilarious to say the least. Well, it was for Ray, it wasn't for me. I'd heard him about a million times.
Did he do the bicycle kick?
Yeah.
Of course, he won the Second World War.
Yeah, but that was at Southgate where he invented the bicycle kick, my hometown. So there was these connections, and we walked out of Doug's office, and Ray was just sort of in awe of what he'd been, where he'd been, and who he'd spoke to. And then obviously the next day we're back at Villa Park, win the game against Tamworth, who incidentally had just been promoted to the Conference League, so they were flying, they were on a high. Beat them 2-1. Probably should have beaten them by more than 2-1 on the day. We played really well on the day. We nullified the star attacker to the point where he limped off after 15 minutes, and it wasn't me before you say anything. Lad Paul Burns, who absolutely nailed him on the edge of the box. Fair play to him. And then, so we win the trophy. There was 14,000 at Villa Park for the final, which, when you consider where we've come from, 14,000 was pretty good.
Yeah,
great.
We get back in the changing room with the trophy at the end of it. And lo and behold, who comes in to congratulate us? Deadly Doug. Comes moseying into his own dressing room. Well done, which he did. Again, he didn't have to be there. He didn't have to do that. And it was just a fantastic moment, for all the players, because probably apart from the likes of Gary Martindale, who had played at Bolton, and a couple of others who had played sort of lower league level, most of the lads were just lads who we picked up at the start of the season. We had trials at the start of the season. We invited any Tom, Dick and Harry to come down, and we picked a squad out of them Tom, Dick and Harrys. And then we signed our few better players that we knew had played at a higher level. It was a fantastic year. And then, of course, I got sacked 5 weeks later.
Wow.
Well, that's football for you, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's football for you.
I had a meeting with the chairman and the board, and things had been said and things had been done that were underhand behind my back. He accused me of things. I told him what I thought of him, and we parted ways 5 weeks later.
Wow! What a parting gift for them to do that. Now I'm looking at the Tamworth team in front of me now. Stevie Walsh was playing, the ex-Leicester player, obviously a good friend of yours as well. I see that they had a guy called Steve Evans playing for them. Is that the Steve Evans that became? Isn't he a Scottish guy that?
Not the man.
No, it's not the same one.
Can't be, no.
No,
I'll tell you, Mark Cooper played.
Yeah. And Mark Sale as well.
Mark Sale.
Yeah, he played for the Blues as well, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Yeah,
he did.
In the final, Mark Sale, to be fair, because he didn't win a header, I don't think, in the whole game. And he's 6'4", 6'5".
Massive. Yeah, he's massive. Yeah.
Me and Joe, my centre half partner, battered him to death. He never won a header.
Right. So final part on this. Tealey, we loved it as Villa fans, and for what you'd done for our club, we loved it. That it was a lovely football story. It was a real pleasure to when we did that chapter for your book as well, to get that. It's a great achievement. But I noticed that you beat Harrogate Town.
Yeah.
Right. Is that the Harrogate Town that's now in the old fourth division?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Okay, then. Right. So let's finish.
2 games as well, I think.
Right.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
It was, yeah. Right. So first round, Marine.
Yeah.
Second round, Harrogate Town.
Yeah.
Who did you beat in the third round?
Wakefield.
Nope.
No. Ooh.
You won 3-0 away.
Ilkeston?
Correct. Right. In the fourth, you drew. Who did you say?
Wakefield.
No, you'll come on to Wakefield in a minute. Right. In the fourth round, you played a team where you drew 1-1 at their place and won 2-0 at yours. Right, Alperton Town.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Then you played Wakefield.
Beat them 5.
You did beat them 5. But, a quick question for you. Right, they were called Wakefield and something else. What were they called?
Were they Wakefield and Emley or something like that?
Oh, you're good. Tealey, you're good.
Correct.
You're good. Then your big one, the Pierce the Resistance. Well, obviously that was really Tamworth, but in the 6th round, Yeovil Town. And as you said, Aylesbury United before you play. Not bad there, mate. You only got one wrong. Obviously, his favourite was Wakefield because he must have mentioned them about 10 times before we got to that.
The reason I mentioned Wakefield was because that was quite a funny scenario because we'd played them in the league at home early in the season and drawn 1 each, and they were a really good side. And then we ran out for the FA Trophy game, and it was like playing against a bunch of kids. We just absolutely steamrolled them from the first minute to last, and it's just that one game stuck out of that run, apart from the Yeovil game, but because of how easy we'd beaten them, because all the other games were very nip and tough, very, very tough games.
Good stuff.
Is it safe to say that that's Bursco's biggest ever achievement?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they'll never replicate it anyway because the club folded and were reborn.
Right.
Maybe 10, 15 years ago now. We actually earned the grand total of £94,000 for the club that year in that cup run.
That's incredible.
And they decided to waste it on silly things like putting new ceilings in the dressing rooms, and that's part of where
instead of capitalising.
Yeah, that's part of where the fallout came, and then all the chairman and all that then decided they'd had enough, and they sold the club on to a fellow called Chris. Can't think of his second. Chris Lloyd. Chris went blind and passed away. Funny enough, he wasn't there that long, and the club sort of rocked and rolled through lower leagues and just never got going again. And then they sold the ground eventually. And they play now 200 yards away on an all-purpose 4G pitch, brand new ground, but it's only a very small ground. But, that's the way forward for non-league clubs, 4G, because at least they can make money, the revenue out of using it every day of the week.
Yeah, very true. A great thing, and that's a lovely story. Right, we are out of time. Can you believe that our first one of 2025 has just flown by? Absolutely flown by. Right, spoke about the FA Trophy there. We've got the FA Cup coming up.
We have.
Right, let's obviously we've got our competition starting soon where we're going to, go to the fans and ask them for, the correct scores and all that kind of stuff. But we've got West Ham and you've got Lincoln. Teale, what's the score going to be against West Ham?
Well, I suppose the bonus for us is that they're struggling up front now because obviously Bowen's out by the looks of it with a broken foot. Obviously, the sad news of what happened to
Antonio.
Terrible. And he's they were talking about a year out of football for him. So, having said that, we've lost Pau Torres with a broken metatarsal by the looks of it. So, swings and roundabouts. I would think we would be strong enough to win the game 2-0, 3-0.
Okay, I'm going 2-1. Right.
It's also, by the way, we should mention it while we're on. It's also the 150th anniversary night.
It is.
On that day, on that game.
So it is. Are you working?
Oh, yes.
Yes, of course you are.
Oh, yeah. You call it work, don't you?
Yeah. Trade descriptions again. Might give us a call about that one.
It boils down to talking crap for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, you've done very well out of the last hour as well, mate, to be honest with you. Right, so you got Lincoln then, Mr. Browne.
We certainly have, yeah, mid-table. We're going to win. I think it'll be I think he'll shove Dukey up front, and I think it'll be a 2-0.
Yeah, I think it's going to be 2-1. I think it's going to be 2-1 to Blues.
Oh, right.
On that one. And then we're going to set up for a nice fourth round.
I'm going 3-0 Lincoln.
Well, see, I was trying to be diplomatic there.
Yeah, no, you are right.
I'm sitting in Chris's studio. I'm not going to diss him as he's this close to me.
Yeah, it is a time. I don't know why I think it. I'm thinking I was probably.
You'll win at home, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would have thought so. And yet again, it hasn't been chosen on the same day, but we've had a couple of those games where Villa and Blues have both been at home without incident. So I'm sure that if we get into the fourth round and we've both got it, who knows?
Yeah,
who knows?
There's never any trouble, is there?
Exactly. Well, it's been great speaking to you both. That's show 6 in the can. We'll be into double figures soon, the way we're going. Yeah. You know that, don't you?
It's going well.
To 10.
Say that again.
That's when we get to 10.
yeah.
So you started having a go at me, you're finishing having a go at me. I got it. I got your number. Definitely. Well, I'll speak to you both in a couple of weeks' time. I hope everybody enjoys this show. It's going to go out on the 6th.
The 6th.
So we'll be advertising it as we always do on social media. Yeah. Have a great time, everybody. Happy New Year to all our listeners, and we'll speak to you soon. Good night.
Yeah, New Year, everyone.